Hey, welcome back, everybody.
Hey, we're back. We're live.
Back in the cabin.
And we are. And there we are.
Going to be a
couple minutes sharing our shows as we typically do.
Yeah, that's right. Hopefully we have some good discussion tonight.
Yeah.
We have actually had some good discussion online here just today, talking with somebody back and forth a little bit. We're so passionate about deer hunting, and we get so amped up when all of a sudden we mistake maybe a post or something. And I was commenting back and forth with a guy, and actually after we got done talking for a while, we found out we got a lot of things in common, and that's good. So
you found some common ground.
Absolutely. And I just kind of maybe misread just a little bit. So, that's one reason when you get into a debate online, don't start slamming people left and right, because you might be the person that just maybe read things the wrong way.
Exactly.
So, and you might find out you got more in common than what you think. So it's all good. All right, let's see, let's do a little bit of sharing here, and we will get on with tonight's show.
Yeah, let me get that one.
Hopefully everybody's having a good weekend. Hopefully everybody has had an opportunity to get out and do some stuff in the outdoors. We did a little bit this weekend. So
outdoors, indoors.
Yeah. So that's all good.
Right.
All right, I'm almost done here. Danny takes a little longer. He's got a few more places to share things for us. And as always, if you guys don't mind, guys and gals, share the show for us. Spread the word around.
Back.
And
this one.
All right, Charles Byram, Ron Moses, David Boggs are on. Billy Hoffman. Billy Hoffman, thank you. Mike, you're looking skinny. Nice work. And you know why? Has anybody noticed? Danny didn't even notice. I shaved today.
I noticed.
That's why.
You can't miss it after seeing you yesterday.
Actually, hey, Tim, see us. What's going on?
Tim, you did a good job on your show for last Friday night.
Hey, Josh, what's going on, man? Josh, stay tuned. We're going to talk a little bit about EZ Kut today. So got something we're going to share.
Right.
But I've got a photo, and we started working out, back in October, right?
October 12th.
Okay, so I went back, and I found a picture from back in July, and I look like a tank. I was big as the side of the house. I'm still overweight, but working at it, and that's my motivation now. When I don't feel like going to the gym and seeing Danny there, spending an hour with him, I'll look at that photo and go, yeah, this is what you look like. So, get on it and get after it. So
you're right, exactly, and that's the thing we do. All right, so
Ron Moses camper show. Are you at the camper show, or are you hauling campers to a show?
Right.
Are you busy working today?
So let me flip this on. I'm going to do this.
Adam Kimmer, what's going on, buddy? All right.
All right.
Okay, here we go. Lots of Michigan guys
started the watch
making waves out there in Vegas this weekend. Record. You know what? Actually, we're going to talk about that. Matter of fact, let's get the show started and let's talk about that right off the top. Let's see what Billy just wrote. Here we go. Stand by in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of the Upnorth Journal, everybody. Mike Adams sitting in the cabin today with Dan DeFaw.
Yeah, it's February.
What's going on?
You know what? It's February. It's a little cold out, but it's not too bad.
It's better than it has been.
It has been. There's no polar vortex on the horizon, so not doing too bad.
But if there was, you'd get your Hunter's Blend coffee to keep you warm. So, and there you go.
Remember, get over to huntersblendcoffee.com. Use the promo code UNJ and get 10% off your order.
All right. Hey, my wife's watching. She's taking care of the little one, so make sure you show the picture there to my granddaughter.
Sweet.
Matthew, what's going on? With a buddy of mine from work. But, as Billy just posted here, the Michigan guys are making waves in Vegas this weekend.
And one Ohio guy.
And one Ohio guy, that's right. For those of you who might not know, the Vegas shoot is this weekend.
Yeah, the Vegas shoot, it started Friday.
Yep.
They had first round Friday, second round Saturday, thirds and finals today.
Yep, absolutely. And one of our friends from Ohio, Dan Yassa, was shooting. He shot a 899 Missed the final shoot down, but they take everybody from that shot an 8.99 and put them in what's called a lucky dog.
Yep.
Got into the second round, and when they get into there, they have to shoot an inside-out X to keep going until they eliminate everybody, until one person wins the lucky dog, and they get to go to the final shoot down.
You know, and that's funny because I was looking for video on it. You found it, obviously, but
Yeah.
I tell you what, just seeing the amount of participants there and kind of the shooting lines. I don't know if you saw the picture of Pete Shepley on the line.
No, I did not.
Yes, Jason Pfister
Yes.
posted one.
Okay.
I think it was him that posted it. Pete Shepley on the shooting lines in Vegas.
Still shooting.
Still shooting. But you want to talk about, when we go to our league, we're kind of close.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there it was just crazy. Toe to toe, shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
It was amazing. But but those guys, Michigan guys, are doing pretty good.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out. A guy that I used to shoot at an archery range with, Rocky Cummings, his son, I don't know how old he is, but he was shooting in the youth division. He shot at 8.99,
Okay.
I think, or was this a 5.99? They shoot 600. They shoot.
I don't know.
I don't know if they're shooting 2 days or 3 days, but anyway, he took second place.
It's nice.
I can't remember if it was a 5.99 or an 8.99. I can't remember how many rounds they shot.
Okay.
But yeah, he won some cash.
Nice. Rocky's got to be proud of him.
Absolutely. Rocky shot well. I can't remember exactly what he finished with. Krishner, I think, shot a 5.
I want to say
98
5 something like that when I saw it, but
it didn't make it into that next. That was the last score I saw. I don't know what his final score.
Yeah,
was.
I don't-
Was
I
2
don't
days,
know.
He was a 5.98.
right. And so I think they had one more round to go, and that was another thing. I was trying to locate people, and when there's so many,
Yeah.
you're just scrolling, and it's just like, it's crazy. But you're right; they are shooting pretty good, and it's kind of cool knowing these guys.
Oh, Billy said Rocky Jr. is 16. Thanks, man. Hey, Dean Elliott, thanks for tuning in. Fred Trusky, thanks for tuning in. Man, we got a lot of people in the house tonight. That's cool.
Yeah. So
Eric, a friend of mine from high school,
Ken Cicluna's joining.
who just turned 50, by the way. He's welcome.
50.
Welcome to the 50 Club.
Welcome to the 50 Club. Nice.
But it's just been a busy weekend, great weekend. Where do you want to start?
Well, why don't we start right from the top, and let's go what we did yesterday, because I think I've been there now. I think this is my second year that I've gone, and every year I learn something new, or I try to ask a question where I'm going to learn something new.
Right.
And I listen, because Dr. Deere himself was there with Wayne Sitton, Luke Sitton.
Dr. James Kroll.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that he talks, you listen,
Right.
and you see,
Right.
because he'll show you things that typically, you're not really looking for, depending on what gland you're looking at or what liver fluke.
Yeah. What parasite you're looking at?
Right, thank you. I had to think about that for a second. But just amazing information coming out of that club where they've been doing this now for so many years, and hearing how they're doing,
Right.
and what they're doing, and trying to feed off of that and say, okay, well, you guys are doing this, this, and this. And they had us, I know at one point, the does they were bringing in, the does were producing more bucks than does that if they would have went to birth, which he kind of chuckled about. He goes, the deer will manage themselves.
Yes. Yeah. Give them the opportunity. I mean, if we don't manage them, Mother Nature will manage them for us.
Right. And he says so they're managing, and it's kind of saying, okay, they needed more bucks, and here we go, right?
Right. Hey,
So-
and you know what? I got a little video here, and I'm going to have to size it here on the fly. So
you do that, and I'll,
we'll talk about it as we go along.
yeah, and
And actually,
logistics of this place is really cool.
it's not playing, so I tried.
The logistics is really cool when you got a bunch of 20 to 30 people gathered around several biologists and him cutting up and weighing things and measuring things and looking at things and
Absolutely.
and it starts from when they bring the deer into the one door, they pull the jawbone, they age it, they open her up carefully. They do some samples, they check the bone marrow.
Yep, they'll cut the front leg off, and they're checking. That'll be the first indicator of stress or health on the deer. So
Yeah, and all the deer up to the point where we left was healthy.
yeah, pretty much. The only thing that even remotely appeared or popped its head up was tapeworms, which is an indicator of coyotes.
Right, and he did say, he says, you got to remember now, we're doing this in February, where the does are fat and happy, getting pregnant, being fat, and the does are skinny and trying to make it.
Right.
And come August, it'll flip.
Right.
I liked his terminology, the bucks sitting around talking about what they did last ride.
That was good.
Right.
Looking back at everything, I talked about at the beginning of the live stream here about discussions with people. We had several comments yesterday. Still deer season? ? And what's going on? Why are you shooting deer in February? There's confusion as to why they're holding a necropsy at this time of the year. And basically what they're looking, like you said, we're looking at the health of the deer at this time of the year. This time, early February, deer is that you bring in, that you shoot and bring in, and start looking at certain things scientifically. It gives an indicator as to how well that herd is doing.
And he said it's the first step in a year-long process.
Right.
And he went through the steps of this is the first step, and they were going to send some samples off to be tested, but this is only the first time. And then he went through. There's February, then there's going to be in the summer.
Yep.
When they do it's a physical site of looking for fawns.
Right.
And then we go into, I think he went into, it took a year to figure out the total deer recruitment in 1 year.
Right.
And he said 40% is the number you need to have a sustainable herd.
Right.
Is that right?
Yeah, close to that number.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, we're looking at when the rut was. That's another thing. When they check the fetuses. I mean, we've talked a lot about this. I don't want to bore too many guys. Unless you start chiming in here and you really want to know more about it, we'll go into detail. But when they look at they take the fetuses, they put them on a fetal scale. They can tell exactly how old that fetus is when that doe got bred. The actual how many days back, and that'll tell you how tight that rut is. And we've talked about this so many times before.
We have, and it was kind of cool because
it's important.
It's very important because they measured a couple out, and it came in. The first couple were November 12th, but then they had one November 3rd. I want to say it was.
Did you see the size of those fetuses?
Yes.
When they put them on the table, I'm like, man, those things are large compared to the other ones they brought in.
And they measured them and dated them.
Yeah, they were.
And so then the conversation started as to. And his first question he said was, when was the full moon?
Right. Late October.
Late October. He goes, 3 to 5 days after the full moon, you've got activity.
Yep.
And that's probably when she
cycle.
And that's what happened. So I was like, so we're looking on our phones for next October's full moon.
Right. Yeah. So we want to hunt 3 to 5 days after that.
Right. Exactly. So, and then okay.
But the thing is though, that's there where conditions are prime and optimum. They manage that property. When I say property, we're talking thousands. Like I think it's 26,000 acres roughly. And
like you said, the health of the herd, right? And he held up kidneys. He says these are healthy kidneys.
I've never seen so much kidney fat. So much fat in the females.
That's it, right?
Yeah,
so
they were fat and happy.
They were fat and happy, and after all this is said and done, they go and they take the meat, and I think they donate it.
Well, somebody actually had asked, and so I went up and I asked one of the guys. I said, "What do they do with the meat?" And he said, "First thing is the guys who are the shooters get first choice. If they want it, they get to take a deer, and after that, they take it for camp meat because it's a big camp. And then after that, what's left over, they donate."
Okay, so speaking of a big camp, one of the things this year was a little bit of trouble because we had an ice storm here.
Right.
And so they could plow the main roads, but they couldn't plow all the roads.
Right.
So they were having to sled the does back in some instances, and some of these deer were coming back
Skinned.
And it was like
The fur got rubbed off.
because it was being dragged for 4 miles
Yeah.
on the back of a sled.
Yeah, the ice and the sno actually pulled the hair off, and it looked like they've been rubbing up on a fence post.
Right,
Rubbed
exactly.
themselves raw, you know.
But
so.
no, it was. It's always good to be able to ask questions.
Yeah.
He'll be doing whatever he's doing, and they're doing their measurement. And if you have any questions, just ask.
Yep.
You know, and they talked about one of the things that I really, when I first picked up, they were talking about was, what are they feeding them? What are they planting? How much are they planting, right?
Right.
And he said for as much land as they have about 500 acres of planted food.
Okay.
And what he said is, so I listened as to what they were planting, and they plant corn and beans, but they put an electric fence around them.
Right.
And then they go to, for their summer grow, it's oats and clover.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's they plant that, and then when it gets to fall, they'll plant winter hardy oats.
Okay.
And I found, so when you hear somebody talking about oats, it's like, well, is an oat an oat an oat?
Right.
So I had to ask, I said, when you talk oats, is there like umpteenth variety of oats?
Sure.
And he said, well, there is and there isn't. He goes, really, any oats will do during the summer, but it's the winter one that there's only 2 companies, I think he said, that provide a oat that's hardy enough for winter.
Okay. That'll sustain growth and grow into the late season.
Right, exactly. So if you're planning and want to hunt with oats around, you got to use buck forage.
Right.
And I'm like, oh. So come the winter, that's when they take their fence down around the corn and the beans and let the deer have that.
Okay.
So that was kind of cool. That I stepped in and I had to ask Wayne, and I pulled him aside and I asked those questions just so I could get it in my mind, and because everybody's got something, right?
Absolutely.
You just don't want to go plant the wrong thing and have a frost, and all of a sudden it's dead.
Yeah, and there was a lot of talk around that later on about the difference. But I got to point out, Adam Kimmer said you weigh them first. You forgot that they actually weigh them. So he just wanted to correct you.
Thanks, Adam.
So
Adam was doing a fine job yesterday, Mr. Hair Puller.
Yeah,
he was literally pulling hair.
I wanted to pull my hair by the end of the day trying to get back home.
Yeah. Which, I have to admit, it wasn't too bad driving up and driving home.
Friday night was pretty bad.
Driving up?
Yeah, we had a lot of snow, a lot of ice.
A lot of snow squalls?
Yeah, I was skating all the way to camp. You know, I stayed at my camp, and then that morning I met you, and then we went on over to the camp, to the other camp where they were holding the health check. So, but yeah, you know, once again, it was very educational. The main reason I wanted to go is to take my daughter up. She went up, and her boyfriend went with us, and
Mr. Need Fresh Air?
Yes. So we took them up, and I wanted to put my daughter in front of, you know, our DNR biologist and whitetail specialist and DNR technician, because all 3 of them are females and work in the industry. They work on the biology side, you know, on the animal side of things, the science behind it. And I wanted her, because that's kind of the field she's looking at, either veterinary or some kind of wildlife biology. And I thought, what better way to see it in action than to go to the necropsy, see what they're doing, ask questions, and then talk to these ladies and figure out schooling wise what they went through, whether, you know, the choices they made, and, you know, how they progressed through their career.
Right, exactly.
So she got some good information, you know, and hopefully she uses it to her advantage to figure out what she wants to do.
The world's an open book.
That's right. So we'll see. But I tell you what, we're bumping up here on our first break. We come back. I do have some video here that I've already preloaded. I want to show as we talk about.
That will work.
That does work. So we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this.
Anybody out there that's got any questions? I'm in the watch party, so I think you're picking up the questions over there.
Yeah, I got questions over here. Ken Skluna says, great footage yesterday. Love to check that out one time. Love the shot placement video. Shot placement's what we're going to talk about next.
Yeah, that shot, Yeah, we'll talk about that next. That was actually, I think that was just an off the cuff idea he had.
It was
because he just mentioned, all right, the next one we're gonna do this, and we're like,
yeah.
okay.
And Benjamin Farrell, he chimes in and says he figured that I'd be out at the Vegas shoot dominating. You're a funny guy.
As a comedian,
right? Yeah. No, I won't be at the Vegas shoot, and I wouldn't be dominating.
If he was at the Vegas shoot,
I'd be at the slot machines.
No, if you were at the Vegas shoot, you'd be holding arrows for somebody.
Yeah, that's about
You'd
what
be
I'd
the
be doing.
arrow retriever.
Yeah.
I would be too. So I'm not even gonna say You just go get the arrows, and I'll just deliver the water to them. Okay.
There you go. Actually, we'll be talking a little bit about our shooting if we have time here at the end of the show.
John Regal joined the watch party.
All right.
Can you see that he joined that?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, but AJ's here. He's in the house. All right, here we go. Stand by. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. Second segment of the show. You know, I'm going to go ahead and throw this video up. I got the volume turned down on it, but so that way we can talk over top of it. But at this point of the day when we were at the necropsy,
This was just before lunch.
yeah, Danny actually alluded to this as we went to the break, the fact that Dr. Kroll said, hey, next year we're going to bring in, we're going to show you guys something really neat. We're going to talk about shot placement.
We're going to cut the deer in half.
Yeah. So, you know, they really didn't do anything to this deer. They brought it right over after they weighed it, and I don't know if they took the jawbone out or not, but basically they're taking the hood off of this thing. They're going to lift the hood up.
They're going to...
Taking the rib cage out.
Yeah, and you don't get this every day, and...
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool. You're just kind of sitting there going, what are they doing?
Yeah, and it'll take a second for them to kind of get into the side of it here, but as they get the side rib cage off, what they're going to do is show the actual organ placement on a deer, and when you shoot to a certain spot, what you're going to wind up hitting.
Whether you're shooting a bow or a gun.
Yeah, and the difference, you know, where you should shoot is a bow or gun. So, to me, when we look at a deer and we look at the insides, we're staring down, the legs are up in the air, somebody's probably helping us hold the legs apart, we're just unzipping it, and we're looking at the deer from the belly down.
You're not looking at it side on a table.
Side on a table like you'd be when you're shooting it. So to me, this was some really good info. I mean, we've seen pictures.
Well, you've seen pictures, you've seen the videos of where to shoot,
but what lies behind what organ?
And he explained when you hit wherever he points, what that arrow is doing or what that bullet is doing, and what you're hitting, what you're touching, where you don't want to hit.
Yeah, and he actually at that point right there, he's pointing to the ribs. He says, quick commercial here for you guys. Do not throw these away.
Right, exactly.
Take a meat saw, cut them in half, and he said put a rub on them and barbecue them or smoke them. So
right.
He said some of the best meat there is.
Exactly. So he said if you're shooting a gun, I'm going to show you the best place to shoot a deer. And then he kind of explained his method of shooting and reloading, but never really taking his eyes off the deer.
Do you do that?
I was trying to think of that. In my the last deer that I shot with my gun, I did do that. But I have a semi-auto.
Okay.
So I don't have to rack. So
Right.
I just pulled the trigger and stayed on him.
Okay.
Wondering why the deer didn't fall.
Lincoln says Lincoln Rome from Let 'Em Go, Let 'Em Grow. That was great to see firsthand. Absolutely, Lincoln. You know it, and here he is. He's kind of making sure everything's in the right spot as things got jostled around to show us. But when I'm shooting, I shoot bolt action most of the time now, and when I come up off the gun after the shot, I mean I'll come up off to look over top of the scope. To see if the deer went down or if it's taken off running, whatever it's going to do. But as I come up, first thing I do is I rack another round in. I never lift the gun up off of whatever I'm shooting off of.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've automatically got another round in the rifle. So, and that's one thing he said that you need to really make sure that you do. And he really stressed that point.
Exactly. So he's going through the shot placement with a rifle, and I do believe the first one is going to be up in the top of the shoulder. At
Top
the base
of the
neck.
shoulder. Yep, and above the heart, up near the spinal column. He said, when what that does is it severs that the spine, but also the aorta goes up and then descends to the back. And he said, if you shoot like where he's pointing with that knife, he's drawing a little circle, like right there on the scapula. It's going to drop the deer right in its tracks, and it's going to sever the aorta.
it's going to sever the spine and sever the aorta at the same time.
Yep.
So you're literally paralyzing the deer, and before like you said, before the deer hits the ground,
it's dead.
We'll have bled out.
Yeah, bled out and it's dead.
It's done. Which I've done that before, and they don't go nowhere.
Right.
So and he goes through this whole. He'll start at the top, and the next spot he's going to go is when you're a bow hunter.
Right.
And he said, "Don't shoot it here if you're shooting with a bow."
Right. Absolutely.
He goes, "You don't want to shoot here."
Right. Kind of that. And that's the thing is that spot is so small. And it's what the bow hunters call no man's land. When you shoot them up high, and you don't get them because there's a small window where he's talking about shooting that deer,
and it literally could go through the deer.
Yep.
And not kill it.
So if you shoot low on that spot.
Right, and there's a spot, and Erica, my daughter, hit a no man's land spot just under the spine, but above everything that was vital on the doe, and basically it went through her.
Right.
And that was it.
Well, and there was a picture floating around the internet here a couple weeks ago that there was a hole through a deer like that.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. And
I don't know if that was photoshopped or if that was true, but it was up high like that.
But technically, it could be true.
Yep.
They do have no man lands on animals that they can take a hit, it go through them, and they'll still live.
And right there, he just cut the pericardial sac out from around the heart so you can see the heart a little better. And he's showing where the aorta comes up off of the heart and where there's a shot placement spot there that you need to hit, or as a bow hunter, where you need to hit as well. And it'll dispatch them.
Right behind the shoulder, right behind the leg is where you want to hit. And if you hit this, you'll be taking off the top of the heart.
Yeah. And the cool thing about this is at this point when he's showing, you could hear a pin drop.
You could. That was it. I kind of stood back and just kind of peered over everybody's shoulder. But yeah, you could definitely hear a pin drop.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was just it's awesome. And he starts at the front of the deer, and he even goes back to the no man's land back there.
Yep.
Of don't shoot him here.
Yeah, don't shoot him, in the guts. Don't, the descending artery when it goes back, the femoral artery.
Yep.
He talked about that, and then talked about the Texas heart shot and all that stuff. What people do. To be able to sit and now this video is actually, we have this online on our Facebook page. For those of you who listen to the podcast, obviously you can't see what we're talking about right now, but you can go to our Facebook page, scroll down, and it's a video called Shot Placement. And I think it's 15-20 minutes long-ish.
Yeah.
So, feel free to check that out.
It's actually very educational.
Absolutely.
It's educational that you want to, according to Dr. Deere here, when you shoot, what your bullet or your broadhead is doing at the time and what it's hitting.
Yep.
Which is kind of really cool.
Yep. And what organ's behind this organ, what organ's behind that organ. Obviously we know where the lungs sit, we know where the heart sits, but when you get back in and you gut shoot a deer, depending on what organs you hit, whether you're going to kill them or not, or whether you're going to have just a wounded deer that's going to be suffering. So it just really gives you.
And he did mention that on there was one of the shots that he goes, "This is what tracking dogs are for."
Right.
He goes, "You're going to need one because you're going to find blood, then nothing, blood, then nothing."
Yeah.
And he just walks you right through it, and everybody was just gathered around, just taking it all in.
And that's the cool thing about this is you're up close, you're personal, or he's personal with you as far as answering questions. You can see these people on the other side of the table. We got one young fella right there in the blue coat. That's he's right front and center.
Okay, did you see him helping out with the? They put the little blue outfit on him. You didn't see that? He got there, and all of a sudden I look over, and they got him on with the little blue apron thing, and he was over by. He was helping the gentleman cut the front leg off and do whatever they were doing. Yeah, they were. He had those really big latex gloves on.
Okay.
And he was helping out, and it was good to see. And he just was getting his face right into it.
And one other thing I want to mention that I saw right before I left that it gave me hope for our future is the fact there was a lot of young people there. And I'm saying like from 21 down to this young man's age. Well, young adults or teenagers, young people there. And to me, we always say we're losing hunters. It's an old man's game now. But seeing youngsters there, to me, and learning about deer hunting, learning about habitat, learning the science behind it and what you see on the inside of the deer, and listening to Dr. Kroll, and getting that knowledge, to me, gives me hope for the future.
And even with the older gentleman, the gentleman we were talking to, the one that had a relative at Specs Howard.
Okay, I don't remember his name, but I know who you're talking about.
But he liked to come up and just see it for his own personal, just coming up, looking at it and seeing what's going on and just being there. So,
and that's cool as well, because of the fact that, and I don't want to put anybody into categories, but the older generation of deer hunters, a lot of times, have problem with modern science. They, talking about shooting does. We're not going to shoot, like you said at your camp. You used to buy doe tags and nail them to the wall or burn them.
Yep.
And it's changing minds, seeing the science behind this. Something we didn't have 15, 20 years ago that was available to the public, that now things like this that we're invited to, that we can share and get this information out.
Well, here's the difference now. I think that's really, really, and we had this discussion along with about 50 million other discussions we had during the day, but it was like the type of meat you're getting from a deer. Mm-hmm. No fat. Mm-hmm. Lots of protein.
Yep.
A very healthy meal.
Organic.
Very organic. What better way to give to your family than a healthy meal?
And I don't remember who it was that we were talking to, but I think it was Luke, the assistant manager of the camp there. I think it was him that said, we're starting to see a slow turnover in the millennial age of our hunting population. We're starting to see them buy into this organic lifestyle, and this is one way they can get the food.
And these articles are coming out in the New York Times. Mm-hmm. They're coming out in the other major publications. I think it was the East Coast that he kept referring to. Mm-hmm. But it was showing them that you hear all the horror stories about the beef and the cattle and what they go through.
Right.
But what better way to give a nice, healthy meal than going out and getting one, providing yourself a deer for the family?
Absolutely. Putting food on the table and doing it in a sustainable way that's organic. And if you want to go down the road of the carbon footprint, we'll even touch on that a little bit. The fact that you can do this in your own home area. You don't have to travel a long way away, or that beef doesn't have to come from a couple hundred miles away and be trucked in. If you want to go down that road.
Right, and even if you do, it lends itself to. It lends itself to spending time with friends and family, mm-hmm. and somebody getting a deer and making an event out of it and making it enjoyable to go do it. Not a burden, it was this and it was that. No, I was with, most of the time, rifle season, I'm with my cousins.
Right.
And, it's probably one of the best weeks you have all week all year is when you get together, and it might be the only time we do get together.
Right.
So.
No, it was a really good time and very educational. This was, I think this was the 6th one that I've been to, and I always seem to learn something new every time I go.
Matter of fact, it was your 6th one because you had in your memories pop up.
Yeah.
At that 6 years ago was you and Mikey.
We're doing the same thing. We're showing it live.
Same club, different place because they got a new building.
Yep.
And I think I remember that in the videos that you provided for that one. But no, it's so educational. And he's open to questions. And no question is a stupid question.
Right.
Every year, it's nice to be able to ask a question and be heard.
And I think we went live with that for almost an hour. So if you go, like we said, the shot placement, that was the video we were just showing. If you go down below that one, there's one that says, Michigan Deer Health Check or what.
Yeah,
I can't remember what I labeled it, but go down to that one, and that's like almost an hour's worth of streaming footage that we recorded and posted.
And what I'll do is I'll get those put up onto our website, and I'll put them on the website front page. So you can, later in the week, if you want to take some time, you'll be able to go click it. I just got to go and do my usual weekly download and get it back up there. But I'll do that for those as well.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, we're bumping over here on our second break. Let's step outside, take our next break. We come back. You want to talk about something you got and do a little show and tell?
We're gonna look at it live right here because I have no idea what I'm getting into.
Okay. So with that, we'll be right back after this. For those of you on the live stream, hang on just a minute. You got questions?
Yeah, if you got any questions, fire at us. the floor is pretty open. If you want to know any more about the necropsy,
Yeah, I just didn't want to beat that to death because
No.
we've talked about it so many times, and I know most of the people on, unless you got questions, then we'll entertain them. But
Yeah.
most of the people have already seen that.
right, and it's pretty cool. And it's also good to see like Lincoln and Adam, and
You got something going on over there?
I guess,
Making noises?
yeah, right in my left ear.
Okay.
Fix that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
For some reason, I had that
I-
that audio source up on the board.
Right.
So, all right, here we go. Stand by. In 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, third segment of the show. So we made it back home from the necropsy.
We did, and as you know, we've joined a couple of groups, Scentlock,
Yep.
Alliance,
Yep.
and EZ Kut.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so we met Josh on our way back from ATA. Picked up the Rambo bikes.
Yep. And actually, I got somebody that's asking me about that. So next time I go up north, Josh, if you're still on, the Rambo's headed north, and we're going to take it for a test drive.
All right, cool.
So-
Good to hear. But while we were standing there in the snow, blowing,
It was cold.
cold, he said, "Hey, I got this pack that he had," and then he kind of told the story about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, that's not that one.
Nope, this is my sling pack. EZ Kut Slingpack.
So, I'm just going to put this up here for the camera. Those on the podcast won't be able to see it, but I have not done anything to this.
It looks a little dirty.
It looks a little dirty, and it's like, okay, Josh, would you like to kind of tell us what's going on with it? He goes, well, he had it on the back of his four-wheeler 2 seasons ago, and it disappeared.
Right?
What do you mean it disappeared? Well, they kind of forgot it was on the back of the four-wheeler when driving off into wherever they were,
And it fell off.
lo and behold, it fell off. Forward 2 seasons, they're walking in the woods, and they find it.
So that was laying out in the woods for
So
2
this
years.
was laying out in the woods for 2 years, and you can see right up here on the handle that something was, I'm not sure, but
Critter sharpened his teeth on
looks like it.
the rubber handle.
So I'm like, okay. So he gave it to me and said, here. And I said, okay, I'll take it, and let's see what we got, because so obviously they've been
There's the pruners.
there's the pruners. Now this has been two seasons, so probably 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. So here's the pruners. Now there's a new set, and this is a 2 seasons laying in the woods set. So
Still
basic-
functional.
Still functional. Yep. Little dirt falling out. I'm not going to vacuum, by the way. So I'm going to get these out. A little rusty. I'm going to try to clean this stuff up and see what I can do about it.
But the things are still in great shape. I mean, worst case scenario, you put a new blade on it, and you're ready to rock.
Okay, so that's the thing. With EZ Kut, you can get a new blade to put on this.
Yep.
So if actually, I haven't tested this blade. It actually still looks pretty sharp, to tell you the truth. A little rusty.
Well, put your finger in and see if you can take it off.
You're a funny guy. So we're gonna try that and see how they work.
Okay.
I know you really enjoy yours. You were using yours down in Indiana.
Yep. I took this down with me and did some scouting on the lease that we're going to be using this year. And that was the one thing is like, I took the whole thing with me because if you're out on the property and you're doing some scouting, you want to put trail cameras up, what have you, take one of these with you. If you've got one, take it with you. And if you don't have one, get one. Because these pruners here, we've showed mine before.
Okay.
Those things look like they're still in great shape.
You know, I haven't. That was the first time I've taken. I don't even know what's in this bottom of this pack.
Maybe a squirrel.
Dude, you have no idea what I was just thinking because I was like, this is literally the first time. I'm like, oh, there better not be a dead mouse in there.
Right.
So this is the loppers, which actually it doesn't even look like nothing even surprisingly didn't eat this.
Right.
So
And comparing them to mine, they look unscathed.
I mean, there we go. You know, a little bit of rust expected from the moisture out in the woods.
But this is from laying out from 2 years.
Yeah, it's even got the cobwebs to prove it.
You know.
So, you know what?
And don't forget these are telescoping as well. So
right off the bat, here's my thought. These were laying out in the middle of nowhere for 2 seasons, and the only rust that I see is actually just around the rivets, which are just screws. And I don't see any major rust on the blades. I definitely don't see major rust. I see a little bit of spot rust. I might be able to clean that up. But
you got the does that one have the saw with it?
Let's see. I don't know.
And again, this has been laying out in the weather for 2 years.
Okay, there's nothing in the bottom.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Okay, so there is no saw, so I'll have to get a saw. But there you go, folks. I have not cleaned this up yet, and I wanted to do this purposely to actually look at how this would, how EZ Kut, what it looks like after staying out in the wilderness for two seasons, and truthfully,
rain, snow, mud.
Yeah, and so I think the only thing is the discoloration, and that's probably from the laying out in the sun.
Right.
Right. Actually, you can tell which way is up.
Yep.
It was laying this way.
So
stay tuned. I will come back and.
You know, we should have had a pair of those yesterday with us.
Okay, so right.
Because when they were taking jaw bones off and taking the leg off and checking the bone marrow, and opening up the rib cage, this is what they were using loppers, and I think a good pair of EZ Kuts with you. If you guys are into deer management and you're really trying to, take records and look at the health of the deer, and you take that leg off to look for that bone marrow, or if you're taking jaw bones out, that's just another thing that you guys can use them loppers for. So
right, and the only thing and you just got one recently, and I only see something different in the bag is the little pouch on top.
Right. Couple questions here. Steve asked, "How do you get an invite?" I assume he's talking about to the necropsy. Actually, I've known Wayne and Luke Sitton that are manager and assistant manager over there at Turtle Lake Camp for probably 6-7 years now, and it's through them that I got the invite, and Danny went with me. If you're here in Michigan, it's something that you're really seriously interested in, get a hold of one of us. If we go next year, I can ask if I can bring somebody, especially somebody that's curious and wants to know and learn more about this. I can't take 20 or 30 people. That ain't going to happen.
It's actually really it's a private
club
necropsy held on a private club, and it's generous to be asked to come.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's something that I've been fortunate enough that, like I said, this was the 6th one I've been to, and it's just something I can't bring people to. I have to ask permission if I'm invited back. So.
Yeah, right. We don't even know. That was this year. Next year might be a whole different thing. So what's the other question?
Benjamin Farrell asked, "What type of release are we shooting these days?" We're both shooting the Stands SX3.
Yes, we are shooting the Stands SX3.
But we have something hopefully here in the next couple months coming that we're going to be playing with.
Yeah.
So we can talk more about that later when we get one.
Right. So but right now we're using a thumb release, which is our first year. Relatively almost a year into switching over from a typical trigger release to going to a thumb style, courtesy of Dan Yassa telling us we're going to do that.
Yep. And it was the right move to make for us. I mean, it really changed my shooting style. And actually, let's talk a little bit more about that in the last segment of the show. And we're going to talk a little bit about us shooting leagues here in a few minutes.
Right, exactly. So,
but no, the EZ Kut system, man, I can't say enough for it. I've got 15, 20 different uses for it here around the house that I completely cleaned off my fence line. It has wild grapevines growing on it, and I cleaned that all off with just the simple pruners. And you can see that after laying out in the field for 2 years, how good a shape they're in. I mean, these things are built tough, and we're speaking of EZ Kut right there.
Oh, there you go.
just a really good system to have with you if you're out, setting up trail cameras and you need to clean something out from around a tree. If you're in your stand, those pruners, I put them in my backpack all the time when I'm in stand, because you get up there might be, how many times you guys trim shooting lanes, setting the stand up, you think you got it, and you go back to hunt and you're like, man, that limb right there, that just bugs me. It just bugs me. And you can reach it. You don't want to snap it and make noise. Just get your pruner out.
Couple clicks and it falls to the ground.
It's done.
So, yeah, no, they're definitely, and I just got to figure out how to clean the backpack now.
Take everything out and put it in the washer.
Really?
Or put it in a tote. Put some water in it, put some either dish detergent or laundry soap.
Okay.
In it,
I can do that.
Because you're not going to take that in the field with you during hunting. You're not going to strap that on the whole thing. You'll take pieces.
I just want to clean it up now.
Yeah, so I wouldn't worry too much. Or get some scent-free detergent if you're worried about that, and then wash it with that.
Would you hold it as I get a hose?
No.
Oh. Any more questions over there?
Lincoln, let them go, let them grow, should have some spots as well. We took 3 members this year. Okay, so Steve, there you go. Check with Lincoln or check with myself or Danny, and we'll see. Coming up next year, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Hey, Paul Penix, just tuning in. Good to see you on, Mr. Paul. Always good to hear from Mr. Paul.
Absolutely, it's always good to hear from him. Hope he's doing well in his new job.
Absolutely. So I tell you what, we're close to our next break. Let's take our last break. We come back. Let's talk about how we've been doing shooting leagues.
Let's do it.
So we're going to step outside. We'll be right back after this. And for those of you on the live stream, hang on. And if you get your questions.
Get any questions in.
Yeah, get them to us.
Yeah.
And let me save this off real quick.
It's always good that Adam corrects me.
You need correcting every now and then,
They weigh them first.
That's right.
Which reminds me, did you see the one deer that was the one doe that was 139?
Yeah.
She was a biggin.
Yeah, she was. That was a 3.5-year-old doe, if I'm not mistaken.
And he did give a little demonstration on how to age a deer. And all you needed was the jawbone.
Yes, he did. Yep, we went over it, and I believe I was recording as that happened. I'm telling you guys, go to our down below the Facebook page after we get done with the show here, and look on there. There's the 2 things: shot placement video that we did up there, and then the deer health check. Those two videos, both of them were just some great information, And there's I wish I could take notes during that, because there's so many things that he says that I would like to remember. It just crams your head full. Lots of good information. All right. Here we go. Last segment of the show. Stand by in 3, 2, and 1. Welcome back. Last segment of the show.
Last segment of the show. And we got some shoot. Tonight is week
6.
Number 6. Halfway through.
Halfway through our shooting indoor leagues, archery league, shooting target bows. And man, has that opened up my eyes to a lot of things. And it's just a whole new world. It's really cool. Have a lot of fun. And I'm so glad I'm doing it.
The most important thing is we're having fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
it's a lot like golf, though. You can get frustrated real quick.
Right?
And you want to throw your clubs.
But we don't throw the bow.
No, we don't do that. But I'm shooting the Phenom SD from last year. You're shooting
the Evolve 35.
Okay. And we're both shooting Stan's SX3 releases.
And I'm shooting... Oh, actually, we're both shooting the SDs.
Carbon Express SDs, yep.
Which, yes, folks, for an indoor league, we should be shooting something a little bit thicker.
Like a Tank 23.
Or a 7.
Right.
But...
it's what we had.
It's what we had, and well, maybe next year.
Right, so...
yeah, no, it's been going well. Every week trying to get a little bit better. We've kind of... Sunday nights is an interesting time to be doing this, especially for me when I'm trying to wind down and gear up going into work the next day. And I know we came back from ATA. That was a struggle of a night then.
I shot the worst I've ever shot in my life that night.
Yeah.
And actually, that night we got back, that was a Saturday night late. Middle of the night, after a half hour after I got home, I got a kidney stone and passed it in the middle of the night. And then the next day, that Sunday, we shot. And I was making adjustments left and right and blew up and was getting frustrated and I was tired and
Right.
I wanted to explode. And that was week. Was that our third week?
That was second week.
Second week. That was, yep, that's right. That was the second week. And yeah,
The first week is the week we found out what time it actually really did start.
That's right. That's right. We showed up a little late. Had to shoot makeup.
Right, which that's fine.
Yep.
But yeah, no, it's shooting 3 arrows. We're shooting 60 arrows, and in 2 rounds. So you learn to, and you can either shoot a 3-spot or a full face.
Here's my target.
Let me get it.
Yeah. What I've done is like I'm gonna keep my best target until I beat the score. This one was a 553 2 weeks ago that I shot, and yeah, as you can see, I got a couple errant shots, but everything's starting to tighten up. And then last week, this was 2 weeks ago, and then last week, I got in there and my shoulder was giving me fits, my left shoulder, and I really thought I didn't shoot that well, and actually wound up tying that same score. So.
Right, exactly, and it's one of those things that and you got to remember we're shooting with the likes of a Jim Beasley in this league who, doesn't miss, except a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
You know, I don't think he shot a perfect score yet.
Nope.
I know he was. I think 598 was his high, and to think about that, in 60 arrows to miss
2 points, yeah.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, out of around a 600, he's shooting anywhere from 595 to 598.
Right, and this is some of these weeks, some of these people that are shooting these leagues with us, they're coming off shooting the tournament
that day.
Where that day or that weekend they shot both days, and they're coming off shooting already a few hundred arrows.
Yep, and smoking us.
Right. So we're learning, and that's the whole purpose of this is to learn the target side of it to get better.
Yep.
And obviously, what this does is this is going to set us up for maybe some 3D shooting in the summer.
Absolutely.
And obviously helping us come the fall.
What I've noticed it's helped me with is form, getting form and perfecting a form, perfecting a routine or a rhythm, a shooting style that works. And that's one thing Dan Yasser has really preached to us. Figure out your routine and what works for you, and make those steps every single time to perfect your shots.
It's all about the process.
Yeah, the process.
And that's something I learned. Something I learned in bowling was you have until the foul line to get your shot, and that for me was a process.
Yep.
To get from A to Z, and my coach in bowling at the time, you can bowl with that. You if you repeat the process over and over and over, and that's what you perfect.
Yep. Work on that process.
And so what this is teaching us is our process of archery shooting with a thumb release.
Yep.
Obviously, we're shooting a smaller diameter or target arrows, but shooting them now shows us why these guys and gals shoot a 23 or a 27.
Yep.
Because of you're trying to catch that line.
Yep.
We get yelled at when we try to catch the line. We should just put it in the
the people scoring our targets, they're like, would you stop it with cutting lines already? You're too close, Right. If we were shooting the bigger arrows, we wouldn't have that problem. But, actually, we're probably leaving, I would say, maybe 10, 12, 15 points on the board every night?
Every night, that smaller diameter arrow isn't catching the line because it's the smaller diameter.
Yeah.
Where if it was a 23 or a 27 or 25, it would catch it.
Right.
So... and that's one of the little things that you don't know about it till you do this stuff.
Benjamin Farrell, he says he's had nights where he gets so frustrated he wants to throw his bow. I understand.
Yes,
I understand,
but don't.
Yeah, but no, it's really tightened my groups up. I'm shooting a lot better, more consistently, and I can't wait till I get back outdoors and start shooting distance again, because we're honing that process down, and I worked on that process, but I've never shot as much as I'll take that back. I did shoot a lot last year, but working that at longer distances now, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
And this is going to get us into I'd like to get into maybe getting a lens for my sight.
Yep.
I haven't been over to Jim's to look into this. I want to stop over there, and this is our halfway mark, so the next 6 weeks will be just kind of tweaking some things, trying some things out. Say, hey, I've never done this, and let's try it.
But we're not gonna buy bigger arrows until next year. That's something. Don't change in the middle of the season.
Yeah,
I'm
not going to change it now.
So the process is what it is right now, and we're going to build on that.
Right, and and we've even got a young guy out there. A couple weeks back that we shot with, who picked up the bow for the first time in August.
Right.
And he's shooting really well.
Yep.
And another gentleman who's shooting a recurve.
Yep.
And he's out there flinging arrows, and it's just this league has got from A to Z in it.
It does.
And that's what makes it fun. And everybody's nice, and we told everybody we're newbies to this, so we might have a lot of questions. And we did ask. We were asking questions every week.
Yeah.
And, just on not just shooting wise, but just on etiquette.
Yeah.
Like when you're up at the line, do you walk away after you shoot? Do you stay there? Just some different things. And what if, you're at the target and this? Oh, well, typically you wouldn't do that, but you just learn.
Different scenarios that we're learning to grow and walk through. Like you said, etiquette. The thing that's I've gotten used to it now, but when we first started, you've got, what, a 2 foot? Is it about 2 foot
I
line?
would say
foot
that's 2 feet.
Foot and a half to 2 foot that you stand on the line to shoot, and you got a person right here in front of you, and then there's another person that close to you right behind you. And it's like you can hear them breathing.
Yes.
And it's, I don't know, it's just a little disconcerting at first, but I've gotten used to that.
And there isn't a time clock, but sometimes you feel like you have a time clock. It's like, man, I got to get these 3 arrows off. But
right.
It's no, we don't have a time clock, so you just shoot your 3 arrows.
Yep.
And most weeks we're running 2 lines, top and bottom. The week of the Super Bowl, we just ran 1 line because there was enough people missing. We just ran 1 line. But that's the other part of it. You shoot your line, and then you step back and let the other line shoot, or vice versa, and you get a few minutes to think about it.
Yep. Do you find yourself, if you're shooting first, or even if you're shooting second, when you're standing back and the other line's up shooting, do you watch people and see what they're doing and see where their arrows are hitting and looking at form or looking at positions of things and how they stand? Do you look at that stuff? Or are you sitting there contemplating what you've shot or what you're going to shoot? I
might be looking at what they're shooting or how they're shooting, but not really, because everybody's style is different.
Yeah.
That's one thing I did notice when I was paying attention. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
And maybe if somebody's shooting a 3 spot, see how if I watch their arrows, see how they're doing, if they're hitting all 3 spots or what's going on. But not. Yeah. I'm not really trying to clone any of their ways.
No, I just wonder if you're just watching, just picking up little nuances.
It's just fun to watch different styles.
Yeah. Ben says, a lens definitely help your shooting, but he knows a few people that shoot actually better without one. So something to
right, exactly. See, I don't know if I would or wouldn't, so I'd like to get one just to say yes it does or no it doesn't.
Well, I know my eyesight's bad and I cannot shoot without my glasses. I have to have my glasses.
You're right.
And even with that, at distance, I'm looking and I cannot see the 10 ring. I see the yellow, which is the 9 ring and in, and I'm looking and placing my pin at the center of the yellow, and that's how. I just can't see it. I cannot see at that distance. I can't see that line or that X.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
You got a lighted sight on that, right?
Yeah. No. Yes, I do.
What about turning the light on?
I don't know. I don't know if that's legal.
Because I think one guy does.
Really?
Yeah. So I tried it for a couple rounds.
And
I turned my light on.
And
it's it kind of brightens up your pin really well. I'm like,
yeah,
this might be something I might do.
I don't have a problem seeing my pin. I have more problem finding dead center on
finding the X.
Yeah, finding the X. I mean right. that's my issue.
Right, but seeing through the color to the yellow.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just I thought I saw a gentleman have his light on, so I put mine light on, saying, "Let's try it."
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't know if you're shooting a bigger competition if that would actually.
Probably not. They get a little quirky on the bigger competitions.
There was one. I heard a gentleman talking at leagues last week or week before last. They were talking about some tournament that was local, and they said that etiquette is extremely important in that shoot. You even have to wear. You can't wear jeans.
Yeah, I heard something about that. He was saying, "Oh yeah,
attire is important.
Your attire is even an etiquette thing that you wear dress pants and in your shirt and no jeans and I'm like So yeah, no, I imagine the big tournament's a little different.
Yeah,
but this is just a fun ragtag tournament league that we're just having fun in.
Yeah, it's a blast.
It's a shoot.
Some nights it's something else.
Right.
But actually, the last 3 weeks have been really good. You know, first week I shot a 505. Second week I'm not going to say what I shot because it was horrible. I completely blew up. Danny about had to carry me to the van or to the truck that night because
he was way overthinking it.
I was making adjustments and tweaking stuff and.
You were psyching yourself out.
Yeah, I was. It became a mental game at that point, and I'm like, look, dude, you're just tired. Just forget this. Go back to your base settings and start from there. And actually, once I got back to base settings and like, okay, let's just have some fun at this point and forget the score, I actually shot better that last half of the second half of that round. And it I won't say it came together, but the next week it did. I can't remember that next week. I shot a 537-ish, I think, and then...
You get into the groove, and you know when you're in the groove. Kind of like when Dan, I noticed his scores was in the groove.
Yeah,
he missed one groove.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, exactly. Did you know at what point in the round he missed that X?
I want to say it was like the fourth end of the third round. In the fourth,
it was the third day, fourth end
of his round. I saw a 9.
Okay, that would.
And I bet you that arrow went flying.
You think? So yeah, but you know, watching that stuff live online, we've had a lot of fun watching throughout. You know, we watched Lancaster 2 weeks ago. That I watched a little bit. Actually, the shoot down right now is probably not quite. It's 7:30 tonight Eastern time. The shoot down is going to be live, I think, on YouTube. So if you just go in and Google 2019 Las Vegas shoot.
Vegas shoot
2019, you ought to be able to watch it live.
If you put in Las Vegas shoot, you get some different things.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Tony Smith, Mike, have you considered a clarifier in your peep?
We've talked about it, but before I do a clarifier, I need to go get my eyes checked again. It's been a while, and my glasses, I know my prescription has changed.
Yep.
Because I wear 2 different sets of glasses, one for driving and for distance and for shooting. And then at work, I've got another pair that I use that are up close and mid-range for my workspace. And yeah, as I'm getting older, I need to. It's been 2.5, 3 years since I've had my prescription has changed, and before I get it, because I think don't they match that to your prescription?
I have no idea.
Jim Beasley, spot shooter, he's talked about that with me before, and I think it goes off of your prescription for your glasses.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if they match it to it, or I don't know how that works. But yeah, we've talked about it a little bit. So that's something that I might consider. But first thing, I think I need a magnifier lens.
I would like to start with there,
so I can see the X.
Right.
So, but just looking. Ben says if you wanted a lens for indoor, he would go with a weaker lens like a 2 or 3 power, where you're only shooting like 20 yards. But for outdoor, a 4 or 6X lens is good because of the targets are out further.
Yes.
And that. Thanks, Ben, because actually that's a good answer to
a question
we had. Is I asked a guy last week, like, I see you got a lens. What are you shooting? He said, I'm shooting a 4X. And I'm like, why? He goes, that's just what I got. It never really gave me an answer, as we don't know, like indoor, we're shooting
18 meters,
and it's like, okay, which is basically 20 yards right at it.
Right.
So what power do we need at that distance, do people typically use, and what power do you use in outdoor when you're shooting anywhere from 15 meters to 80 meters?
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, that's so it makes sense. A lower power indoors, higher power outdoors.
Yeah.
And Tony Smith says aging sucks.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely. But I tell you what, let's wrap up the show here.
Yeah, we gotta go. We gotta go shoot.
We got to go shoot. So we'll be on for a few minutes here for the live stream, but for the podcast, that's going to do it for this week. Don't know what we got in store yet for next week. I'd like to get out and do some ice fishing if we get some snow. I want to get the Rambo bike on the ice and play with that and tow the sled. Got to shoot some video with that. So we're just going to play it by ear right now and see what happens. But you guys get out there, get out in the outdoors, have some fun, but be safe when you do it. So that'll do it for us this week, folks. And for those of you on the live stream, if you got any comments or questions, real quick, we'll entertain a few. But it is 5 o'clock, and we're going to have to split here in just a second because we got to get over and shoot league tonight. And Ben says, good show, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Ben, we might have to give you a shot one night and get you on and talk a little bit about shooting down there because I know you do a little bit of this shooting as well. Take it from a different perspective and see what you think. So let us know what you think. If you would like to entertain that thought, we might take you up on it.
Right.
All right. I don't see anything else, so we're going to sign off here on the live stream, folks. So y'all take care. We'll be back again at 4 o'clock next Sunday night, as always, here on the Up North Journal. Y'all take care.